Hi, this is Mr. Roboto with 2016 NFL Fantasy Football Draft Picks Studs and Duds Edition. This is for standard scoring. And please click like and subscribe to the channel. Let's get right into it. To see the studs and duds, you just go to RoboCheat. Perhaps you already saw the PPR presentation. This will be just like the PPR, except we're going to focus in on a standard league. Standard league differs. Obviously, it doesn't have PPR. This league is, everyone's going to be a little bit different because RoboCoach has customized scoring. This league has, that you're viewing here, has extra bonus points for going over things like 100 yards rushing or 300 yards passing, 100 yards receiving. But other than that, it's a fairly standard league. So your setup, depending upon your league, your cheat sheet will look different than this. Of course, everything changes week to week as depth chart, injuries, etc. change. So right off the bat, you can see Le'Veon Bell, Ezekiel Elliott. Nothing's really changed here versus what you saw in PPR, except maybe down the list, some of the players who don't receive as many receptions, some of the running backs that don't receive a ton of receptions are rated a little bit lower. But you can see there at the top of the list, it's still Le'Veon, still Ezekiel. And actually this top tier is huge. You can see it includes all these players, and what RoboCoach is saying is these players are interchangeable. And so Rashad Jennings is a huge sleeper, just like it was in PPR. You can see right there. And Thomas Rawls, Jeremy Langford, also sleepers. You determine that by the delta. If the delta is green, that means that their ADP is much too high as opposed to what their RDP is. RDP is the robo draft position. So if you took a Jeremy Langford at 7, robo would say that's about right. In terms of his scoring output, robo thinks Langford has potential to produce top 10 numbers. And likewise, anybody who's in this top tier, from Devonta Freeman all the way up to Le'Veon, it's too close to call. So basically, your strategy this year, a zero RB strategy might be a good way to go because there's so much depth at running back here. So some other studs down the list. AP not looking too good in standard, looked better in PPR. So some duds. Gurley, still a dud. He's way down here, minus 43. You can see him right there. Minus 43, not good. Who else? Well, let's skip on to the quarterbacks. Let's go with the quarterbacks now. So you just come on up here, click on quarterback, and right off the bat you see pretty much the same thing. The Cam's still at the top. His numbers are pretty good. He's not bad to have. There are bigger values than Cam, but still not too bad. Eli is a value here. You can see he's at 47, above where he should be. At least, and Stafford is even bigger stud, bigger sleeper, I should say. So the sleepers here are pretty much the same as in PPR. Tannehill, Stafford, that you can see up top here. Down the list, you can see Kirk Cousins is a big sleeper. Even Sanchez looks like a big sleeper for Denver. Big sleeper. You can wait. You can pick up Cousins and certainly Sanchez towards the end of the draft. Some duds. You got Breeze, Roethlisberger, Luck, Brady, and Romo. All still duds. So want to avoid those players. Tyrod Taylor not looking too bad. But yeah, so you go down the list, you can see Breeze, negative 57, not too good. Roethlisberger, negative 91. Ryan, negative 37. Tom Brady down here, negative 140. Let's go to the wide receivers. So in PPR, the wide receiver sleepers were Tate, Demaryius Thomas, Jordan Matthews, and once again you can see, yep, Tate's still a sleeper. He's going 44 places below where he places above where he should be. Matthews again. Demaryius is still a big sleeper. AJ Green's a dud. And likewise, Des Bryant, Alshon Jeffrey, all duds. So Antonio Bryant, he's a fairly good value. If you get the first pick in the draft, you might want to go after him. But then again, RoboCoach thinks that any player in this first tier is just as likely to finish above any other player in that tier. So, which is not to say, Jordan Matthews is, you should use your first pick in the draft to pick up Jordan Matthews. No, you'd pick up Antonio Bryant. But you can get a lot of value out of Jordan Matthews and certainly use him in the later rounds as a sleeper. Let's move on to tight ends. Oh, wait a second. Yeah, we covered the duds. One thing I saw in here, I don't know. Yeah, Kenny Britt. There's a super sleeper for you. If he's able to maintain that number one wide receiver position in LA, he could turn in kind of numbers like that. It's certainly possible. He'd have to hang on to the position, though. I'm not sure if he's capable of doing that. Towards the end of last season, he was looking okay. It's possible. Receivers have done quite well. Steve Smith, that's another super sleeper. I skip tight ends, go to defense. Probably just want to go after Houston or Indy at the top of the list. Big sleepers. Wait till the final rounds, of course. Tight ends. Gronk, not exactly a dud, but he's not going to meet your expectations. He'll just be okay to slightly below your expectations. So your tight end studs are Delaney Walker, Barnage, and Eifert. Make sure you get Croft with Eifert, and you should be okay. So those are your studs and sleepers. Now the next step for you, is to go to RoboDraft, and I'll cover that. So once you've looked at these numbers, you've got to figure out how you're going to go about picking up these players, what round you're going to get who in, and what your draft strategy is. What are you going to do if you get the top draft pick, and so on. So what you do is you save your sleeper picks for the later rounds, and you go after the studs in the beginning round. So like I said, Antonio Bryant, he's your number one pick. So you probably, if you get the first round in the draft, even in a standard league, he's looking pretty good. Robo thinks he can still turn in number one level type of numbers. So basically, with so many sleepers, according to RoboCoach, what would you do with your first round, second round pick? Because, would you go after Le'Veon? Would you go after Ezekiel Elliott? Because according to this, these players they're not duds exactly, but they're not exactly super values. They're going below. Their draft pick is not where it should be. They should be drafted a little bit later, but that's not the case. So do you go after them? And the answer is, of course, you go after them. If you got the first pick in the draft, you're either going to go after Le'Veon, Ezekiel, or Antonio Brown. However, I would avoid it altogether if you could, because you could build a decent backfield with Rashad Jennings and his backup and Jeremy Langford and his backup. So what RoboCoach is saying here is that, okay, Jeremy Langford may not be all that, but if you're able to hold on to him and he's able to hold that position, or you're able to get his backup and maintain your hold on the Chicago running back position, then you should be in very good shape. That position is going to turn in some great numbers. I remember in years past, I've had situations like that where you're just trying to hold on to that position, and if you're able to do it, players may get injured, but you keep on scoring points. So yeah, you could easily go 0 RB in the first 3 rounds and get Rashad Jennings later on and his backup in the final couple rounds. Not a problem. That's one of the problems this year, is that across the whole draft, there's not a whole ton of people that you really have to go after, because look at this tier. Look how large it is. Look how deep the first tier for wide receivers are. I mean, you can still get Demaryius Thomas, Jordan Matthews, and if you have those two as your wide receiver 1 and 2, then you're in pretty good shape. So you could throw in Golden Tate, and you don't really need to take anybody in the first round. You don't need to go after Antonio Brown, because RoboCoach is saying there's a good chance that backfield I just named is going to turn in great numbers. Likewise for quarterbacks. So what's the point? The point is that if you want to trade your first round pick for 2 second-round picks, that would be good. When the tiers are this big, what's the point of drafting in the first round? So if you can get added value, say, okay, I'm going to give you my first round draft pick, but you got to give me 2 in the second round. 2 picks in the second round for my 1 in the first round. If your commish allows that, and the software that runs your draft allows that, then yeah, do that, because you can pick up you can pick up Eli Manning this year, and he's going to be a top tier player, and he's not going until the 3rd or 4th round. So hey, I'll give you my first round draft pick, and you give me 3 picks in the 3rd. And with your 3 picks in the 3rd, you pick up Eli Manning, you pick up Jeremy Langford, and you pick up one of the wide receiver sleepers before they all go. And then you'll have your 4th round pick, 5th round pick, and you'll know you'll be getting your sleepers. So yeah, sometimes you're concerned. Now this draft is based on a pretty deep league. So in this particular league you're looking at, there are 16 teams, and so there's a real high margin extra that you pay to get positions where there's positional scarcity. Running backs is one of those. So yeah, so you got to be sure you get your running backs. You can't wait too long, especially in this league. But like I said, you can wait a few rounds. Wide receivers, not so much positional scarcity, and quarterbacks. So your cheat sheet is going to look different depending upon how many teams are in your league, exactly how your scoring setup is. But I think what you're going to see though is there are a lot of sleepers in the middle rounds, and getting a first round, even a second round draft pick isn't going to be too necessary this year. Thank you very much for listening. This is Mr. Roboto. Don't forget to click like, and please subscribe. Thanks for listening to the Sleepers and Duds of 2016 for the Standard Leagues. Thanks again.